What is up, YouTube? James Polk here. 20k points in the normal / rare event. The event is finally done for me, from me, by yours truly. And once I got the gems going along the way from the normal summon stuff, the rest of the quests that I had to do is just to destroy monsters on the field along with special summon and get into some duels, of course, and finally accomplished it all. And that's basically the end of the event already for me. So what goes on with the easiest matchups of mine? The easy matchups I've been through was played against 2 to 3 Megalith. Already won all of those matches. Armed Thunder Dragon, played about 7 of them. Eventually I did lose to 1. And then easiest match I also had was against Time Lords. They eventually ran out of steam controlling one Time Lords too many. And then I also did play against Heroes. Played against 4 of them. And eventually I did lose to 1 just because of the big bricks. But you know, it is what it is though. And the hardest matchup I had was against literally every single pendulum matchup there was. And sure, I did win a few games just because of some of the lockout cards, but at the same time, is that once I can get full knowledge against the pendulum matchup, as long as I have the alternative strats, then I should be in a pretty good position. So first things first, let's check out this blinged out deck profile in terms of the whole entire main deck. That's like almost blinged out. You know what I mean though. So first things first, for the Charmers, 2 Alsa, 2 Area, 2 Hita, 2 Wind, 2 Dark, and 2 Lina. Shouldn't need to explain anything. And then the animals, 1 Inari Fire, 1 Nefarious Archfiend, 1 Gigabyte, 3 Renryu. And then the changes I made from the list in terms of the Magistans engine was 1 Crowley, 1 Zoroa, and 1 Endymion. This used to be Rilliona, and I had to swap out the Rilliona for the Endymion because in the N/R format, Rilliona literally doesn't do anything in terms of putting back the banished spellcaster back to the graveyard, because the partnerships is a SR, so there was no point for me to play Rilliona anymore. So I swapped her out into the Endymion, the Magus the Magistry. So as for what the Endymion does, is that you can target 1 Magus you control, Endymion or Zora in most cases, have 1 extra deck Magistus equipped to it, which definitely came up a lot. And then the face-up, target a face-up spell, you control it to destroy it, kill it, and if you do, draw 1, and place 1 card from the hand to the bottom of the deck. That secondary effect just like never really come up at all, due to the fact that its effects are easily negated due to Zoroa and whatever else. But otherwise, everything else is absolutely perfect. And then the 4 pseudo bricks. These 4 are technically bricks because you never really want to draw into them, but at the same time, it's where at least 1 to 2 games, obviously, I did kept drawing too many of these, and I honestly really didn't care about me on the verge of losing as of late just because of these big bricks in hand. But nonetheless, not gonna talk about that sob story though, but it's whatever else. So, technically, the way how the Awakenings work, gotta have a spellcaster along with level 4 or lower attributes to get the Awakening summons off. So, Reaper definitely came up the most, because Reborn something, even though effects are negated, is insanely strong. Greater Inert Fire, this card definitely come up at least 1 to 2 times in terms of stealing games, but at the same time as where they aren't really going to put out monsters within such low attack just to keep themselves alive. And then Gaga Goodbye, this card only came up once just to randomly rip something out of the hand, and then both players draw one. So randomly ripping a key piece that they're missing in hand is pretty much more of a dead card. And to top it off, you get yourself a hand advantage and field advantage are from the Awakenings. And then Rasen Ryu, this is literally the second favorite of the 4 because non-target bouncing cards is really strong, and it definitely came up 1 times too many after the Reaper. And then for the traps, because I'm playing a small amount of traps, 2 Unpossessed and 2 Torrential Tributes. 2 Unpossessed, not 3. 3 can be sometimes cloggy, and you don't want your back row to get all clogged up. And then 2 Torrential Tributes, not 3. I don't really want to overcommit on the Torrentials as much, but at the same time, it's where if you know how to get the advantage off, is that the moment your opponent is about to overcommit in terms of swarming the field, that's when you shotgun the Torrentials just so you can keep pressuring your opponent. And then as for spells, 2 Spellbook of Power, 1 Magistus Vritrar, specifically only 1 copy, not 2 or 3, and that is because I pretty much got myself a smaller use out of the whole Magistus engine, because I really don't play this entire engine as much as I really wanted to during testing. Is that the 3 copies of Zorua and a Crowley, that ratio to me didn't really work out, and it's just literally never gonna pass. So I switched it from this entire engine with the 1 Vitra. It's just so that you rather see this card and being activated at a proper time. In case of Zorua, definitely showed up throughout the whole entire late game setup. So as for Magistus Vitra, about what it does, target 1 level 4 or lower Magistus in your grave, specialist. So basically, Monster Reborn, a Magistus in your graveyard, that's level 4 or lower. And then if a Magistus card or cards, spell traps included, in your spell trap zone will be destroyed by opponent's card effect, banish this instead. So it's like a saving grace for your Magistus back row. And then Magician's right hand and then Magician's left hand, these 2 cards are essentially going to lock out your opponent from using their back row. As long as you have a spellcaster, and it doesn't matter what spellcaster it is, the right hand negate the effect of the first spell card played by your opponent. And then the Magician's left hand negate the effect of your opponent's first trap in terms of cards or effects. And yes, that does include counter traps as long as this card has already stuck the landing. Because I've already tested the theory earlier today with the Magician's right hand, is that in 1 match, is that I played Spellbook of Power and then someone played Malfunction in response to my power while the left hand is on the field. Turns out, even though it counter traps, it is a counter trap to stop my plays in terms of specifically such cards as Malfunction in terms of counter traps. As long as this card has already stuck the landing face up, yes, even counter traps can get negated because left hand has already stuck the landing, and as long as you control a spellcaster, they are pretty much locked out from using their back row the first time, whether if it's a spell or trap. Witchcrafter Scroll, really good for draw cards. 2 MSTs and 3 Forbidden Chalices. learn about how to use Forbidden Chalices properly. Because in all of my 6 or 7 matches versus Time Lords, what you want to do is you rather wait until that Time Lord player is going to attack your monster. What you want to do is, once they reach damage step, or otherwise, once you go attack declaration, once they have no other answers, but mainly in the damage step, you rather use Forbidden Chalice on the Time Lord so that not only their effects are negated, but they also get a little small boost, but they definitely lost their Time Lord monster because of Forbidden Chalice. And Chalices definitely came up 1 times too many. And then as for the extra deck, 1 Iowas and 2 Ninarurus specifically. The Awas, this card as an equipped version of the Magistus, the equipped version definitely came up because getting that 1000 attack and defense boost, it's literally meant to get over your bigger monsters. And then the double Ninaruru, the equipped version of her definitely came up because her as a cyber twin in terms of equipments is really good. And then, but the real effect that actually came up 1 times too many, which is the Scrap Dragon effect. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can target 1 Magistus card in your spell trap zone, itself included, and 1 spell trap card in your opponent controls, kill him. So basically, this is your Scrap Dragon effect, and that Scrap Dragon effect definitely came up. And then it's Detach effect, which sadly I wanted to summon the card, but it never came up. The Detach effect is target 1 level 4 or higher spellcaster in your graveyard added to the hand. The Recursion never came up. And then Gemini Pearl, once or twice, this card was actually made against Pendulums. In one of the matchups, they had Janky and Oath Dragon. And I said to myself, I'm pretty much going to need a big beater just to literally outmost things in terms of battle. So Gemini Pearl is the way to go for that one because of 2600 beater. Full-time Papal Operative, she definitely came up like a few times. Black Shipacorn, this is the best card in the extra deck, no questions asked, because sending, not destroy, but sending cards to the grave as long as it's less attack. But the keyword sending is really strong, no question about it. Alchemic, that's just literally like one of those flex spots to put in as the 15 card in extra. Sadly, Alchemic never came up. Sky Pegasus did not summon this card at all. Heartland Draco, this card only came out once. Burner Visor, the card never got summoned ever. Rhapsody Berserk, this card came out twice versus Paleos, because whenever they have the Paleo traps up, all I gotta do is just make Rhapsody just so that they are not going to use the traps from the graveyard by banishing them 2 times off from Rhapsody, which is insanely good. Diamond Crab King, this card is really strong. One time up against the Armed Dragon, the level 7, I was originally out of ideas to find out how to get over Armed Dragon level 7, so I literally had to check the extra deck to see what was the leftover cards for me to make, and Diamond Crab King was actually one of them, just to take down level 7. Oh, and as for the Diamond Crab King, by the way, as an old card, if you never saw this before, here's how the card works. Once per turn, detach 1, change this card's defense to 0, and if you do, change its attack to 3000. These changes last until the end of the turn. And on top of that, if this card attacks, it is changed to defense at the end of the battle phase. And on top of that, if this card is attacked, change it to attack at the end of the damage step, only if it has no materials. And then Gagaga Samurai, this card definitely came up on a few occasions. Ouroboros was not made at all, unfortunately. Book of Moon is great, but I felt like I needed to get the information out as much as I could when it comes to full knowledge. And then Malevolent Sin, this is the second best card in the extra deck because spot removal banishing is insanely nuts. And then on top of that, for every time that Malevolent Sin attacked at the end of the damage step, make it gain 300 attack and then increase its rank by 3. And of course, as I did say from before, the 2 Nina Rurus and the 1 Iwas. With that being said, this is James Polk on the Charmer Magistus deck profile in the normal/rare events. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And keep that notification bell nearby you guys so you can keep yourself constantly updated. And I'll see you guys next time.